You are listening to the DOL Pod, brought to you by the Office of Digital and Online Learning at Howard University.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Morris Thomas. I am the Assistant Provost for Digital and Online Learning, as well as the Director of CETLA, or the Center for Excellence in Teaching, Learning, and Assessment here at Howard University. I am also Associate Professor in the School of Education, Educational Policy and Leadership Studies, and I teach as well in the School of Business in Information Systems and Supply Chain Management Department, teaching project management specifically to MBA students. So I may be a little busy here and taking a few minutes in my free time to do this podcast with our very special guest, and that is none other than Etoulia Salas-Burnett. She is the director of the Center for Digital Business in the Howard University School of Business. Welcome, Etoulia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I don't know when you sleep.
I actually get some sleep in there.
That's amazing.
So we're so happy to have you here, and we want to learn more about your center that you are the leader for, and more about your background. So please let us know more about who you are and about your center.
Sure. So I am a proud Howard University alum, class of 2012. I graduated from the School of Business, so it's such an honor and privilege to be back where I was raised to give back and create a new opportunity for students. So the Center for Digital Business really is pretty new, and our charge is really to connect students at that intersection of business and technology, which is, just critical for today's just digital landscape and the way that the world and industries are continuing to change. And we do this in a couple of different ways. One is through our own programming, workshops, and training opportunities. We do that through professional development opportunities for faculty. And then finally, through partnering with faculty to create opportunities in the classroom to bring industry in, whether it's for guest speaking or creating experiential learning projects. So really a hands-on approach to make sure that the students are getting resume-worthy experience that's going to help them be competitive and hit the ground running when they get to their internship or full-time opportunity.
That's awesome. So am I hearing correctly that you are the founding director of the Center for Digital Business?
I am, yes.
You're going to have to add that to your title when you're the founding director. That's awesome. That's great to hear, and I'm very happy to see that an alum is coming back to the Mecca, as we call Howard University, to provide these opportunities for our learners. So I'm going to jump into the first question. AI is, specifically generative AI, is on everyone's mind, artificial intelligence. And so we just want to define the role of AI. So how do you envision AI playing a role in addressing the systematic barriers diverse students face in the workforce?
Yeah, so thinking about this in a couple of ways. So one, getting into the workforce. There are two things that are really important for students, right? One is their experience, and the other is their relationships, right? So AI is amazing in that it can kind of help with both of these spaces. So when you think about skill building and development opportunities, there are lots of AI-based tools out there right now that can assist with adaptive learning practices, AI-driven tutors, helping to develop study guides, providing materials or creating, examples that students can use to study from and practice from. So on the experience side, there's that, right? And then from a relationship perspective, AI is a resource that students can use to actually understand the ecosystem that they're trying to get into, who are the players, and how can they get connected to them. Is there a conference that's relevant and coming up that they can attend for free as a student? Is there a local, we're in DC, right? There's a million professional organizations here.
Absolutely.
Which are the ones that are relevant that students can, pop in and rub shoulders with some folks and, build those relationships, right? And then on the other side, when students or early career individuals are at work, the same kind of rule applies, right? Experience and relationships. Professional development through companies and other organizations right now are embedding AI into those platforms. So there's that skill development and personalized learning, resource that's available for them. But then on the other side, I used to be a recruiter, and so I think about talent management as well. It's really not that hard to recruit diverse employees. What's difficult is to retain them.
Okay, that's a great
So
point.
how do you keep that diverse talent in your organization? And you can use AI to kind of understand the patterns of dissatisfaction with your employees and pinpoint what the root cause is and prevent it or mitigate to retain that talent and keep your Black people and your Latino people and everybody satisfied and feeling included and a part of your organization. Also, succession planning.
Okay.
13% of the workforce in the US is Black, but 5% or so are CEOs. And then if you think about Fortune 500 specifically, it's less than 2%.
Right.
The math is not mathing, right? Like there has to be a less biased way to do succession planning, and I think AI can help with that in identifying high potential employees that should be pulled up instead of kind of hanging around at middle management. So I think those are some really great ways that AI can be used.
So we're looking at specifically AI and its considerations for online learning and in digital learning. You mentioned about some of the personalized learning and things of that nature. So would you say that these AI tools and capacities can support our students regardless of what modality they're studying in, whether they're studying fully in person or online? What would you say to that based on the information you provided?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the point of AI and embedding AI into education is that it really democratizes learning, right? It makes it so that no matter what modality you choose to learn in, no matter what pace you want to learn in, the opportunity is available to you, especially for online and distance learners who don't have as much connection, or it's more difficult to have that personal connection or feel like you're getting timely support. AI can provide that through, just its, the adaptive feedback that you can get, the different types of formats that lessons can take through AI generated content is making online learning much more flexible now.
So I'm going to stick with AI and personalized learning. So how can AI be leveraged to create those personalized learning experiences that cater to unique needs and strengths of diverse students?
Yeah, so the first way that comes to mind immediately is adaptive learning, right? And so that's the process of where AI analyzes a student's responses and performance in real time and then makes adjustments to future lessons or questions that it asks in order to bring the student along at their pace and in a way that is accessible but still challenging for the student. Adaptive learning is growing a lot, and actually, in the next 4 years or so, that market is going to grow by like $2 billion. So it's a huge market and a huge opportunity that's only going to continue to get larger because it's so useful and so valuable. So I think that's a huge one. The other that comes to mind is customized learning paths, right? Not everyone is going to be really excited about, I don't know, data science, right? But maybe you need to learn it for whatever reason and whatever career you're focused on. AI can generate ways that are, more appealing to you to learn that. Maybe it's gamified, right? Maybe there's a leaderboard and points-based system or something along those lines. Maybe it's different types of storytelling that resonates with you better as a diverse learner. And then, of course, differentiated instruction, right? So for some people, video and learning through videos is really, really helpful. For me, I'm a visual learner. I love a good chart. I love a little infographic, right? So that's really helpful for me, and it helps information stick for me. Some people just like to read, right? So being able to offer the same material in different modalities is another great opportunity for AI.
And I would imagine that AI in the same way could help those who are preparing the courses do some of this differentiated learning that was formerly thought to be a little bit more laborious.
Right, right.
So it's like it can help on both sides of the coin, so to speak.
Exactly, exactly. It's so valuable for the student, and it's a time saving now for the professor as well, to be able to say, "Hey, I have this lesson on accounting and I want to have it in a visual format and also in a lecture format. Please help me. This is my, plan for the day. Set it up," right? And you can work with AI as a companion to iterate and develop something that feels comfortable for you as an instructor.
That's awesome. I'm going to do a quick learning science plug for any instructors out there listening. This sounds like it really would complement and make applicable what we call universal design for learning, which has three principles, and that's to have multiple means of representation, expression, and engagement. So it sounds like AI can allow for that and have some level of automation and scalability to make it easy to implement that. So thank you for bringing that forth. I want to talk about, since you are the director of our Center for Digital Business, we are not just randomly educating our learners, we are preparing them for the workforce. We're preparing them to go out and achieve their dreams and be who they want to be. So how can AI be used to provide guidance and support for diverse students as they explore career pathways and prepare for the work?
AI is really, really useful here. We're actually in the Center for Digital Business doing a virtual workshop series right now that's focused on professional development, career readiness, leveraging AI. So the first workshop was on how to use AI to revamp your resume, how to make it so that it's attractive and will pass through applicant tracking systems and the things that, kind of create those barriers for students as they're maybe cold applying to opportunities. It's also really great when you're looking for jobs for yourself. You can say, these are my interests, these are my, skills and the things that I'm passionate about. What kind of careers should I explore in this space? And you can use AI kind of as a career consultant in a way to,
Awesome.
just explore what's available to you. You can also use it to think about what you should be getting paid in these different careers, right?
Oh, wow.
So what are some market insights that you should take into consideration when you're applying to certain roles, and what are the salary expectations? What's the demand for this type of position? Is it worth it to continue your studies this way? Maybe you should pivot.
Absolutely.
So being able to kind of get those indicators interpreted by AI to help you make those decisions, I think is really, really useful. And then there's also some really cool visual AI tools now that can help you practice for interviewing, public speaking, presentations. So all of that is, lots of just really interesting ways that AI can help with career readiness.
I would imagine, and you let me know if you've seen this, but that AI will probably have the capability of, you mentioned that practice component, providing feedback to the students or prospective employees about their responses to potential interview questions and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. There are tools right now that can do that. So you can and you can get free accounts to some of these. Nobody's sponsoring me, but I can send you guys a list of some really interesting ones that are helpful and recommended. There are also some more novel technologies that are out there right now being tested that integrate the augmented and virtual reality component as well.
Wow.
So let's imagine that you put on a VR headset and you're in a mock interview and you are conversing with the interviewer, right? That entire exchange is recorded, and then you can go back and watch yourself being interviewed. So yes, you can get feedback from the AI, but you can also look at it yourself and say, my posture was, not doing what it should do. Let me take a note of that and, correct when I'm actually in the situation. So not only does it provide recommendations, it also gives you the opportunity to actually hold a mirror to yourself and decide for yourself what's important to work on.
And I could see how there could be an overlap between the content theory and then the theory to application if people wanted to combine these particular applicable aspects to what's happening in the classroom or in the particular course. And yeah, we don't want to list any tools because we're not being sponsored either. But the great thing that you mentioned that is that a lot of these tools are free.
Yes.
So there is that access element for the students. So you talked about something earlier when you were talking about diversity in the workforce and about some of the issues and barriers around particularly diverse communities. And so this makes me think about some ethical considerations.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we prevent AI algorithms from perpetuating existing biases and educational inequality?
First and foremost is that human component, right? A lot of people, it's easy to believe that AI is right because it just gives you an answer so quickly. It must be right? But it's only as good as the data that it's trained on. So we as the humans need to make sure that the data that these models are trained on are diverse, that they are representative of an entire community and not just a narrow view that is historically not equitable, right? Making sure that once we train these models on, diverse data sets and things of that nature, that we are continuing to be vigilant about monitoring and auditing these algorithms to ensure that they don't create new biases by accident, right? So that human component is always going to be there, and it needs to be there in order to make sure that these systems continue to be fair. Another thing that comes to mind for me in terms of equity is making sure that we think about transparency in algorithmic, AI solutions, because right now we don't know how it works, right? You go to
Right.
ChatGPT, you ask it a little question, it comes up with an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you check it to make sure that it's telling you the truth by going to a verifiable resource. Maybe you don't, but you don't know how it came to that conclusion. What if we had that type of system and applied it to admissions at Howard University? How would we know that this is fair?
Right.
How would we know that this is equitable for every student that comes and applies to Howard? So we need to understand how these models work so that we can determine whether they are fair and appropriate or not. And if not, how do we adjust them so that they are, in fact, fair and equitable for everyone?
Absolutely. So it sounds like there's still some element of exploration, practice, due diligence that needs to be done. And that's completely reasonable when you think about any new technology or software. And as we know, AI itself is not new. We've been using AI for a long time, but
Right.
specifically more so we're talking about the generative AI and the large language models that have been more frequently used. So another question I want to get into, you mentioned this at the onset of this response. You talked about the human interaction. So how can we balance the use of AI with the importance of human interaction and connection to education? And specifically thinking about some of the things you all are doing in your center and the work that you do, how do we make that balance that we are not basically misaligned or going too far into the AI sphere and technology sphere without using that human interaction?
Right. Yeah. I think, it's really easy to get bogged down by all of the different AI tools that are available today. They're really cool, interesting. But what you have to remember as someone who's responsible for selecting these tools is, how does this support my goals, my educational goals for my students, right? So making sure that the purpose is aligned to what you intend for your students is critical. And I think that, like I mentioned before, the human component is critical. One of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King, he says intelligence plus character is the true goal of education, right? And so yes, there's a learning component to it, but that social and emotional intelligence is invaluable. And an AI, ChatGPT, or Claude or whoever, they can't teach you that. You need people. You need that student and teacher relationship to help you as a first time in college student get that emotional support, get that encouragement, get that guidance that you're not going to get from an AI. So remembering that that is always a very important component of being an educator, having that interpersonal relationship, whether you're in the classroom or whether you're online, having that community component to your learning environment is only going to help individuals learn and retain information better.
What I'm hearing from that is that when we're engaging AI, it is not a replacement or the end all be all for the experience, but it is a part of the recipe, so to speak, or a piece of the
Yes.
puzzle.
Yes. AI is a tool. AI is another resource for educators, another lever to pull in order to create the learning environment and educational experience for their students. It should never be the sole decision maker. It should never be the sole executor or evaluator, right? There always has to be that human component there. And AI exists as a tool to help us be more effective in more meaningful ways. So those administrative tasks, grading multiple choice or, whatever, let AI do those things, right? And then that frees up your time as as an educator to create multimodal experiences or, better interact and develop relationship with your students, get to know them, which I think is so important when you are teaching online, right? It's really easy to, nobody has the camera on, you don't know what's going on, and you don't get to know your students. But creating that relationship and having the time to create those relationships is what AI enables for us.
Thank you so much, Ms. Salas-Burnett, for coming and being with us today. So tell us what's next on the horizon for the Center for Digital Business.
Yeah, so we have some really exciting things coming up. First and foremost, I mentioned that we're doing a AI workshop on professional development, but actually later on this year and into the spring, we're going to be offering some workshops around how to actually develop AI algorithms. I think it's so important for our communities to be involved at the very beginning of the development process so that we can avoid some of the bias and things that we've talked about today. So I'm really excited to get that opportunity in front of students. And in the spring, we host our Mecca Tech Week, which is a week-long series of tech-based events where we explore the interdisciplinary nature of technology with different industries and how students can get involved. And we also have our hackathon, which is available to all students across the campus. It's a 24-hour competition, And at the end of it, students get to pitch their technological solutions and win prizes. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, we're really excited about that.
Well, thank you again for sharing with us. Any last words on this important topic, or any advice you want to give, or anything you want to say about this as we end this time together?
Yeah, so I'll say what I say to every student who comes into our center, who I cross in the hallway. Everybody is a technologist. Whether you believe it or not, you are a technologist. Now, how good of a technologist you are depends on you. But no matter what industry you're involved in, technology is going to be there, and you need
Absolutely.
to learn how to, get with the program, right? Or you unfortunately you're going to get left behind. So no gloom and doom, but everyone is a technologist. So please embrace that, absorb that, and take it with you as you go to explore this space, because there's lots more to come.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's very empowering, actually. I don't look at it as being doom and gloom at all. It lets us know where we are, that we're in this digital age, we're in this digital time. And so we all are, by default, whether we have embraced it or not, we're all in this digital and technology space. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking time to come and be with us
Thank you.
during this National Distance Learning Week. Thanks so much.
Thanks.